At that time, the Kharkiv was the capital of Ukraine. And it happened that I have, or with my mother, happened to be there in Kharkiv, and probably it helped us to survive. I start from history, and I encourage you to learn now in America true history of Ukraine. In Russia, in 1861, there was abolished serfdom. That's my grandparents just get married. Well, at that time, the serfdom was disappeared, and there was the land. To acquire land was very easy. So my grandparents acquired some land and started to her farming there, because, in general, Ukrainians just love their land and work on the land. So they were very good worker. They tended to have many children. My grandparents had 16 children, and pretty soon they have a very good farming place. Came revolution. Before revolution, as a matter of fact, my father, who was the oldest in that family, didn't like to work in a farm, and he wanted to become a doctor. So he got the examination, and he couldn't pass for a doctor. Then he decided to go to veterinarian school, and he finished his veterinarian school before revolution. Of course, with such a profession, you could be very soon became able to have a better life. So they lived in a country, but they wanted to have a good education. And my father had, there was 16 children, and he was the first. He said, I help my sister and brothers to have an education. That's why they bought a house in Poltava. So in Poltava, my father married my mother, and it was already year 1924. Came some government regulation that when you have a house, you are really enemy of the people. And my parents lost the house in a city, and they moved to the farm, to the country, where their parents lived, and they built the house there. And my mother even didn't know anything how to farm, but she got a high school education, and she started to learn, as a matter of fact, farming by books. She has a good farm, a horse and a cow and some other, and building. I remember that, because I was at that time 6 years old, so I remember very well. But then government again liked to control their people more, because the Ukrainians at that time already understood that they are, so to say, wait straight. The promised new government doesn't do what they promised. So they wanted to put the people in collective farms, and it was very strict. My mother understood that, and she said, okay, you take all I have, and I just leave the house. And that's what she did, and really it saved us from hunger, because my mother went to Kharkiv, became a student of the institute, not university, institute, and at that time, I told you already, the Kharkiv was the capital of Ukraine. And that's why they have some meager amount of the bread, and especially for students, they organized some kitchen to help them. That's how you survive the hunger. But my family, from my mother's side, her grandfather and his daughter died the same day. From my father's side, again, my uncle with his wife died, and the children we don't know where they went. My mother finished this institute, and I and my sister, I have only one sister, were in a special children home where they are feed us some food. Even I just like to emphasize that even the capital of Ukraine was put almost on a strict diet, so to say. But it helped for some people to survive. From the villages, there was almost impossible to leave and go to the city. Some managed it, like one of my uncle, he managed to go, but when he came back, it was already too late because his children was not home and his wife already dead. So what I want to say from my experience, I was only 7 years old. Like here the girl was asking his uncle to take her to the city because people knew that in the city you can get something, but you have to have a passport, and it was impossible to leave the village and go to the city to save your life. In the city, in Kharkiv, I saw many beggars. Well, it's probably not a very big deal to see the beggars because here in America we also see the beggars. But I want to say for 7 years old child to see the old and young people sitting on the streets and handing the hand to you and asking for something, it really was very scary. That the product that my mother got from the university to feed us really was not enough. But because my father was a veterinarian, and veterinarians usually have to have, so to say, to farm to have some food for his helpers and others. And they usually give for veterinarian center a piece of land. And when they started to work on this piece of land, they found the turnips. And they plowed the land. They collect the turnips because they knew that's something to eat. And because my father gets some, not medicine, but some medicine, yes, for his animals, he got the, how you call it, tran, huh? Yeah? Yeah, no. That's it's a healthy, I remember the word, the fish oil. How you call fish oil? Huh? Trans. По-украински trans. Huh? Anyway, fish oil. We have here as a prescribing for a health. But can you imagine that my mother was preparing the turnips on fish oil in the morning, in the evening, and we really couldn't understand why we have to eat. But now I can say that's probably save us all also from hunger. I know that you know already many things about that hunger, and I just like you to learn more about the such a government as the Soviet Union. I had many questions from my students because they, in the beginning, I came to the United States in 50s. And started to teach, as a matter of fact, Russian. And I taught Russian for 10 years. And I took my students, Russian, two students. If you know, not older guys, Peabody High School. The Americans just couldn't understand that Soviet Union is not Russia. When I took my students, my Russian students, to Soviet Union and brought back the advertisement for all 15 republics, because American people at that time didn't understand that Soviet Union is not Russia. It's 15 different republics. And only now probably everybody knows that and see how every republic likes to be independent. Anyway, when I brought that to American schools, and it was over 50 years ago, it was just sensation, because the American people, I am sorry to say, was completely not aware what is Soviet Union. Soviet Union, as a matter of fact, was recognized by American government only in 1924. But again, there was many misconception what is Soviet Union. Nowadays, you can learn more what really Russia means and how the other republics also like to be independent. To understand more what is going in the world, I will finish already. We have to know our history very well, and we have to know what's really happened to Ukraine that she is so dependent or conquered by neighbors, and especially from Russia. Who did it? I don't know if you learn in your American history what did Peter the Great, Russian Tsar, and how he conquered Ukraine is Mazeppa. I would also like to know what is Mazeppa, who was completely not recognized by